Good morning, everyone, and welcome to A Moment of Hope with Upward Transitions. We are excited that you've joined us today, and we love giving you these weekly updates about the collaboration with our partner agencies in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County, and in the way that we are preventing and reducing homelessness. Today's special guest, we've had her, she came on last year, and so we're getting an update from Lindy Gleason, who is the site supervisor at one of our collaborating partner agencies team. And so let me get Lindy on it. Hi, Lindy.
Hi, Carla. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited you could come back and give us
Yes.
an update about what's happening at team. I know there's several new things as far as services and programs to help those in need in our community. So, um, for our first time listeners, just kind of give us a brief overview of the mission of Team's service and programs and how it began.
Sure. Well, thank you again for having me on board. I'm glad to be returning. So, TEAM is actually an acronym for the Education and Employment Ministry. We are a nonprofit who works with specifically individuals who have had some sort of impact with the criminal legal system. And so, our goal is to break those cycles of incarceration and in poverty through our education, through personal development, and some work readiness training. We have different programs that do that. And like you mentioned, I get to serve over our reentry services.
Okay. And so when did teams begin? What do you know the year it was when?
Oh gosh, 87 is what's coming to mind.
Okay.
I know it's been over 30 years since Team's been in existence, but it's transitioned kind of away from what they had originally started, where we were available to anyone in the community who needed some assistance with education, job development, work readiness kind of preparation. Because what they saw is a lot of the individuals who were coming to receive services actually had maybe a felony conviction in their background or had some sort of impact with the legal system. And so at that time, there really wasn't a lot of services dedicated specific to that population. So the board of directors in 2013 made the decision to transition to working specifically with individuals who have been impacted by the criminal legal system.
Yeah. And that's great. And we have such a need because that is definitely one of the populations that sometimes end up in homelessness and
Yes.
experiencing homelessness. And as we know, sometimes those coming out of incarceration don't have skills or contacts for employment, so they need a little assistance getting back into um, society as far as a job training and everything. So we appreciate so much what Teams does in the community. Approximately how many clients do you serve every year?
So I just very really briefly said we actually have four different programs at Team. So I'm working in the reentry population, so individuals who have we actually start with a lot of people while they're still incarceration, kind of helping to get that stabilization as they get ready to transition back, but also individuals who maybe have uh, recently been released from incarceration. But we have some diversion programs and a veterans initiative as well. So I know for our reentry program, we served over 500 individuals last year. Over 300 of them were people we had either been working with since they had been incarcerated or had recently started working with during their incarceration. And 200 of those were just people who had gotten released that we hadn't had an opportunity to work with, but like you mentioned, needed our services, didn't have kind of the things that they need to be stable and get back in there and be successful. So, like I said, for reentry alone, we saw over 500 people come through our doors.
Yeah. So besides Upward Transitions, we collaborate. What are some of the other community agencies that you work with? I know you mentioned the veterans. So,
Mhm.
um,
Yes. So certainly upward transitions, you guys have been a mighty big partner of ours in assisting some of our individuals, especially with those documents they need to be able to go to work. And yes, so we have a Veterans Initiative program, and our Veterans Initiative program can kind of work with anyone sort of at any level of the legal system. And so we get to partner with the VA, the Veteran Services, and have VSRs in house. We also do a lot of work with the Homeless Alliance as well. They're very gracious to allow us to kind of help people get vouchers that are coming from incarceration. We partner a lot with Work Ready Oklahoma to help kind of provide some job services, sort of kind of add some backing to what we're already doing with individuals. We've been lucky to work with Goodwill, with Career Tech, kind of anything that can help just add to that employment and education piece.
Yeah, and you were previously sharing with me before we went live that you had some new culinary
Yes.
growth in the culinary skills. Tell me about that program. What?
Yes, so thank you. We have been really fortunate since sometime in 2020 when the conversation started to partner with the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma. And what had happened was they had redone their kitchen and were looking to provide some training services out of it, and had reached out to us knowing we had provided culinary arts training in the past. And so we've been collaborating with them for almost 2 years now, in being able to provide culinary arts training in their amazing kitchen and providing food for food insecure Oklahomans. And because of that success, we've actually been able to kind of branch out and utilize more of their facility for trainings. And so we're doing warehouse training, we're doing inventory recovery training, and hopefully as the year kind of progresses, there's just more opportunities we can offer participants who maybe because they're going to be facing that barrier of having a felony conviction, we'll have this training that kind of provides that leg up and opportunity in helping them find employment, and employment that's good career, well-paying type of employment.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. Well, that's exciting to hear about that program that you've got going there. Anything that our nonprofit community can work together in trying to provide those wraparound services and break down those barriers to these clients that we're working with that are in need to get back in to contributing as citizens again, in our community. And we really are fortunate in Oklahoma City to have that type of collaboration here. So, amongst the clients that you serve, the populations that you serve, what do you see is probably the most prevalent contributing factor to homelessness with those clients that you serve? What's homelessness is complex, multiple layers of reasons why people become homeless, but what seems to be observed as the most contributing factor there?
Yes. So Carla, we were working a lot to help people develop skills that are help them get good jobs and support themselves and their families. And I think we in Oklahoma City especially see so many more second chance employers and those opportunities opening up, which is great. But what I still struggle and have challenges with are finding good, safe, stable housing for individuals that on a background check are going to show that they have had a felony conviction. And so we part of what we do pretty frequently is try to stay in contact with apartments and housing agencies to try and keep up with those areas that individuals can move in that on a background check may have something in their background. And so I think for our population, there is maybe still that stigma of if someone has a felony conviction that maybe they aren't someone that are trustworthy to rent to, or maybe if they don't have the reliable rental history worth taking a chance on. And so what we find is that if it's maybe Oklahoma City's a little better, but especially our people in the surrounding communities have a hard time finding someone that will rent to them, either because they have expectations of how long it has to have been since a felony conviction has occurred, or what sort of felony convictions they'll allow. And so just the background alone is a huge barrier to some individuals. And then when they do find something, it may come at the cost of, we're going to take this chance on you because we see that something's in your background, but you're going to pay a much heftier deposit. And that's hard with someone coming from that's being recently released back to our community, who maybe hasn't either had an opportunity to get employed while they were still incarcerated, or maybe is still just kind of getting their feet under them and has still all kinds of other things that are being expected to pay for them, like fines and fees and court costs, and if there's ankle monitors or probation fees.
Yeah. And, in addition to that, too, I mean, we've got this tight housing inventory. There's a lack of affordable housing
Mm-hmm.
in Oklahoma
Yes.
City. So that greatly reduces even the options of having landlords who are willing to rent to someone, who has a felony in their background. So,
Yes.
uh, you've that is definitely a barrier in Oklahoma City as far as being able to get people off the streets and get them housed quickly. So,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that wonderful work that you guys do. So do you have an example of how team and upward transitions work together to support the clients you serve?
Oh man, do I? so, um, so like I said, we're connecting with a lot of people prior to them getting released, to try and make sure that when they walk out and come back to our community, they have sort of the first things that they're going to need to be successful. And a lot of times that looks like a birth certificate and a state ID to be able to get employment. Um, and so and DOC has been working on making sure that no one leaves without having those things as well. But things happen. People maybe discharge unexpectedly early, or situations come up where the opportunity hasn't come up to be able to get them those things. Or like I said, there was over 200 people we met with that we never had a chance to do services with prior to their release. And so we see a lot of people who need help getting those state IDs, getting those documents to be able to go forward and get employment and other services. And so, what we aren't able to do, we're so fortunate that we can refer out to upward transitions and kind of help support people in getting to that point where they have what they need to then move forward. So it has been such a blessing to be able to partner with upward transitions and helping people kind of, if we get a birth certificate but can't help with the state ID, then we can help have upward transitions helps, or vice versa.
Yeah, I know that there had been this issue when those who have been released from incarceration, they would be released oftentimes without any ID
Yes.
or anything. So you can't do anything without an ID. You can't get a bank account. You can't cash a check. You can't get housing or a job or any of that. So, and I know that you and some of the other agencies that work with that population have really tried to work with the incarceration system to say, hey, let's get them. Can you, release them with some ID? I know that they're trying to address that issue. So, but we love working with team. We're proud to be a partner, and we look forward to continuing our work in the community and to help and provide for those clients that we mutually serve. But
Yes.
okay, so do you have a client, like specifically about a client that you'd like to share, like a story real quick? We're heading
Yes.
around towards the end of our time here. So if you could just we'll close kind of with your little client story if you have
Yes.
one.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I have so many, but there's one in particular I'm going to mention because we spoke about the collaboration with the regional food bank. So we have we've been able to do that culinary arts class for almost a couple of years now. And before someone enters that class, we do some different cognitive behavior skills, work ready prep training at our office. And so we have an individual who completed that and then transitioned into our culinary arts program. Um, she had a little bit more time remaining before she was released out, but at that time that she was being transitioning back to the community, the food bank had actually reached out and asked if any of our graduates maybe would be interested in being employed by the regional food bank and working in their kitchen. So we had one in particular that we were excited for, and she was able to get the job, and now we get to see her all the time over there, not as a participant in the program, but actually as an employee of the regional food bank. So it's just such a cool story of what that collaboration not only gave her training, but it gave her a job ultimately.
Yes, yeah, and those of us who work in the nonprofit community, we are always so excited and we feel a personal reward when we see our clients uh, go ahead and develop skills and stabilize their lives. And this is just really great. Well, that's wonderful. We love hearing stories about clients who who can get a job and become stable and
Mhm.
change the trajectory of their journey, and help them get stable. So thank you so much, Lindy, for joining us today. And
Yes.
it's a time to tell everyone goodbye and thanks so much. And we wish you all the best on all your programs and services over at Team.
Thank you so much, Carl. I appreciate you having us.
Mhm. All right, we'll say bye to everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.